Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what achieves better incentives, the carrot or the stick. Recently, after years and years of carrots, the SEC finally brandished the stick recently with final rules on clawbacks. These have always been interesting to me because I've always struggled to understand in my equity world how to claw back shares of stock that may have already been earned and released. Well, with me today is one of my favorite exec comp attorneys, David Thomas of Wilson Sonsini, to provide some quick thoughts. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Terry, I agree with you that it's great to get these rules finally, although I can't figure out what carrots the SEC has provided. The boon of getting to advise lots of companies about how to finally comply with these clawback rules, it produces work. But, unfortunately, I think that, there's too much in these rules that's going to be prescriptive and not make sense for companies to have this be really viewed as a carrot from me.
Hey, I'd be curious, Dave, when LTI performance measures are measured on a stock price, and there's some restatement and potential clawback, how would a company measure what's actually earned out? And it seems to argue that a reasonable valuation approach, but that seems pretty vague to me, and I'd be curious on what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think that reasonable valuation approach construct is great in theory, but in practice, if what a company is going to do is make a decision that the results of the restatement wouldn't have affected stock price or have a minimal effect on stock price, and therefore the amount to be recovered is going to be, very low or no amount to be recovered. I think that they're going to want to have some kind of external validation of that by an expert before they take a position along those lines, because the stakes are high. You have a worry about, are you complying with your listing standards? And if somebody comes in after the fact with a different set of thoughts about how the stock price must have been affected by the restatement, you're then in a position where you're having to do retroactive justification of what you did. And so I think that in a restatement, people are going to seek third-party guidance on impact on stock price in most cases.
Because of these complexities, would you envision these new rules might lead to changes in LTI design?
Yeah, I think that people are going to talk a lot about changing LTI design. I think ultimately, from a governance perspective, companies are going to do and boards are going to do what's the right design to drive the behavior that we want to. If there are things we can do around the edges to make them work in a non-discretionary clawback world better, then potentially you could make changes to metrics that aren't financial measures, but that parallel financial measures, so that you then you could apply a clawback that allows discretion, but you wouldn't be forced to apply this kind of clawback. I also think there'll be a lot of discussion about whether adding holding periods to stock delivered under equity awards based on stock price performance or other financial measures is a way to make sure that you have the ability to get the shares back from somebody who is subject to a clawback.
Yeah. Makes sense. Hey, Dave, special shout out to you. Thank you for providing a really fresh perspective on this new stick that is looming behind executives. Thanks again, Dave.
Good talking to you. Thanks, Terry.
Yes, bye.